Good afternoon. This is Dr. G's ADHD Chat, and I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras. I'm a clinical psychologist in private practice, and I, as you probably can tell, am not a technologic whiz. Hopefully that improves the volume. Anyway, we are in the throes of the holiday season. Congratulations, you've made it through Thanksgiving, which is the first hurdle. But there's more to come, and the intensity is a lot higher. You know, Thanksgiving, when you think about it, is kind of an abstract, elite, rather, kind of holiday where you gather with family and you eat a big meal and give thanks for all your blessings. But Christmas, well, Christmas you got a little bit more on the table for your ADHDers. This is when they get toys. They get lots of toys. Because Santa Claus is coming. Because every relative they know is going to send them presents. Grandma and Grandpa especially are going to send presents. So the emotional energy associated with Christmas is a lot higher than it is for Thanksgiving. It goes on day after day after day. Every time the TV is on, even the radio, if you're listening to music, you're listening to Christmas carols maybe, there are ads there. That's a constant barrage, and your little one is getting pretty jacked up, man. Doing his Christmas list or her Christmas list, writing letters to Santa, or maybe it's emails nowadays, I'm not sure. And in general, just getting all excited about what's coming. Well, you know that high anticipation, or maybe you don't know, but high anticipation and poor impulse control is not a good combination. Okay, you just got to understand that your kiddo is going to have troubles with this time of year. There is so much going on. There are so many rewards to be gotten. I mean, there is mom's baking like crazy. There are cookies and candy and all kinds of stuff available. Pies, cakes. I don't know, is there a Christmas cake? I don't know. But at least there are all kinds of Christmas pies. I guess pumpkin's the main one, but there are others as well. So all of a sudden, for about 3 weeks, the kitchen oven is going like crazy. Mom or dad, whoever's the baker in the house, is got all these extra obligations, and the whole household is really disrupted. You think about it, because everybody's got all these extra things they have to do. You have to buy presents. You have to go out, well, shopping or click on Amazon, whatever. As most of us who are of the, I'd take a beating before I'd go Christmas shopping. But anyway, you will find yourselves very busy. You know, I mean, there's just a lot to do. And that's not even counting the office parties for you, for your spouse, the office parties for your teachers, neighborhood gatherings. There's just a lot going on, and a lot of potential for, first of all, for you to get out of whack a little bit. You know, because ADHDers usually have at least one parent who's ADHD, and all those parents going to all those parties, eating all of that strange food, maybe having a few too many alcoholic beverages. That is not a excellent combination for coming back home and being patient and all the other things that you need to do with your ADHD child. You have to the best you can, is maintain the same routine. I know it's harder around Christmas, but your child's routine, at least, has got to try to be as consistent as possible. As you break the routine, all other kinds of things go out the window. And particularly, the sleeping thing, that routine has to stay. You just can't change that, because if you do, you'll be paying for it for weeks afterwards. They don't get to stay up all night. They don't get to play video games until 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. They have to have regular sleep, and they have to have a regular routine. The same routine as much as possible. Routine, structure, that's what helps you not have so many mini crises. Because the more flexible, loose, unstructured the environment is, the more problems an ADHD is going to have. And remember, structure represents safety. I know what to expect in this situation. Lack of structure is not more freedom like you may assume. It is, oh my God, what do I do now? I don't know, that kind of thing. It adds to confusion, it adds to problems. You're going to have difficulties, okay? Stick to the routine. 2, watch the diet. Watch your own, but watch theirs especially. Remember sugar? Sugar is, I wouldn't say it's exactly the enemy, but it is a greater problem for ADHD kids than it is for other kids. And it's not real great for other kids anyway. You get yourself all jacked up on sugar. I mean, there isn't a parent in the world who doesn't know what happens anytime there's a lot of sugar consumption. They get so wired they can't sit still, and if they're ADHD or anyway, they are more likely to get into some kind of messy trouble. So try to restrict as much as possible the sugar intake. That is a huge deal. And if you can't totally restrict it, try to mix it with something high protein. So if you think of everything you eat in the whole day, that's what you want to calculate your glycemic index from, how much sugar you've taken in. And if you balance out increased sugar intake with increased protein, fat intake, you're more likely to keep your glycemic index down to where you don't have total acting out behavior all the time. You've got to remember that. You can balance it a little bit. Lord knows it's easier if you don't have to, but keep them getting as much. If they're going to eat a lot of sugar, get as much high protein as you can get them. Remember, peanut butter is your best friend. Okay? They'll mostly eat it, and it's high protein, and it's also high fat too. It isn't good for if you have a chubby one, but it is good to help balance out that increase in sugar intake. And 3, the third major kind of thing, is exercise. Exercise is still incredibly important for ADHDers. You want to get them as much exercise as possible. You don't want them sitting in front of their computer screens hour after hour playing video games, which sort of give you the illusion that you're exercising because you're killing all the monsters and all that kind of stuff. No, you want outdoors. You want sweating. You want running, having to stop, jump, kick, throw, something. Whether they're playing a sport or just running or hiking. or mountain biking, or even kayaking if you live in an area where that's possible. You got to have them be physically active. About 45 minutes of aerobic exercise is good for 3 hours or so of calmer behavior. So it's important that they do stuff. It's important that they do more distance stuff. But, if they're playing soccer, the average game gives them plenty of exercise that you should have a real quiet afternoon. The same thing for just going for a run, a direct run. Sometimes they really like that because it gives them a chance to get out and they can become really good at it. Or distance swimming, for that matter. I'm blocking on his last name, but Michael Phipps, I think it was, the one who won all the Olympic gold medals, who was extremely ADHD, not a little bit, a whole bunch. Remember him? He credited discovering swimming for helping him basically survive his ADHD. So that's important. They don't necessarily have to be on every team, and they don't necessarily have to be doing intensive training with a coach and all that stuff, but they do need to be active. Bicycle, walk, hike, swim, whatever, but they need to be out doing. And as the parent, you need to encourage that. And remember, the most powerful thing you have in influencing your child is what's called modeling. That is, what you do, they'll want to do. Remember that. And so don't you sit in front of the TV watching football games all day, which some of us have a problem with, especially today. You can't expect them to watch you do that and do nothing all weekend and think that they're going to want to be big exercisers. You've got to model the behavior you want to see. It's as simple as that. There's not much. There's not much to really even argue about with that. They see you being interested in your health and exercising and playing games and, physical sports and having an active lifestyle, and that's what they're going to want for themselves. And that's what they should want for themselves. That's what keeps them healthy throughout life. And it also helps them cope with the ADHD a little better. Okay, and then the other thing that you need to do for the holidays, you can't do it exactly the same as you do the rest of the year because it's very obvious that it's a special time of year, it's different. Try to figure out tasks, things they can do that help the family during the holidays. Things like maybe helping with decorating, helping with cooking, helping with baking even. Those kinds of things, helping wrap packages, and all the other nitnoy things that you can't think of that you have to do to have the family get through the holiday season with a certain amount of relief and relaxation during that time. So those are important things. Okay, you want them to feel like they're part of it, part of the process, and part of making them part of the process is giving them a task to do. And remember, like always, with tasks for your kids, they have to be specified, and they have to be specified, I will say, minutely. Okay? Remember, ADHD kids do not have very good working memories. Working memories are the things you use to keep when you're given 2 or 3 things to do You don't want to remember them forever. You just need to keep them in awareness until you get the job done. Well, ADHDers routinely have a terrible time with that. So that's why they need to be able to see it, to see this is what you need to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, like a checklist. Okay, you can't just give them orders and send them off and expect that you're going to get much of anything done that way. They will maybe have done one of the things, and you're going to find them playing video games and thinking they've got it all covered. And you're putting it out that they don't have it all covered is not really going to be all that helpful. So, we've talked about this before. Some people call it externalizing the executive functions. Okay. ADHDers are known for having difficulties with working memory, for having difficulties with time sense and time management, and difficulties with organization in general. Okay? And sometimes we just call it all behavior modification, but you really it's a way more subtle process than that. It's not just behavior modification. It is putting something outside that they can check on that tells them what they're supposed to be doing. Okay? The easiest one is time sense. Okay, they don't have a good sense of time. Hey, they need a timer. Okay? That also makes them feel like they're going to it also makes them feel more in control, like when they're doing homework and stuff that they don't really enjoy. They can see that timer going, tick, 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 tick. That means progress for them, and that's how they can tell that they have actually got something done. Okay, you set your timer and you work up to how much time they can spend or they can do homework for before they get worn out and need to take a quick break. And so you start with 30 minutes. They do 30 minutes of homework. You have it on the timer. Boom. You don't have to worry about them thinking that they've got a whole bunch done, because they will think, I must have been doing this for an hour already. No, look, it's only been about 15 minutes. Just hang on, do a little bit more. That kind of thing. But you have externalized the problem they have with sensing the passage of time so that they can actually check it. That is an excellent, excellent thing. If you don't do anything else with your kiddos, do that one. Okay? Then other things, but the working memory stuff, you got to write it down. And it's got to be someplace where they can see it. A job chart posted somewhere where they can see it reasonably, and some indication that they got it done or no, they didn't get it done is a real important way of dealing with the working memory problems. Okay, if they can see that they have 3 things they've got to do, they're way more likely to be able to do all 3. They may have to, if you got the job chart in the kitchen, they may have to go upstairs and do job 1 and come down and move the little thing or make the mark that says they've got it done, and then go back upstairs and do the next thing. It doesn't really matter, as long as they are recognizing that this is where the stuff that they're supposed to do is, and they need to keep checking it and doing it again and again and again and again. You're helping. These are habits that they will need when they are adults. Exactly the same kind of stuff, okay? And organization is a little, shall we say, a little more complicated. Because organization in general, you're probably not going to have a good answer for that one. But what particular kind of organization are we talking about? Are we talking about how to research and write a paper? Are we talking about researching and writing a book report? Are we, what kind of organization? Are we talking about getting homework done on time? it's all different, and it all involves some variation on knowing what the goal is. Okay? Goal is to do all the homework every night. Okay, how many subjects is that? I don't know. You got to find out how many. How long does that take? How long do you need for each one? All those kinds of things. But you need to get them so that they are used to structuring an obligation. They've got things they're supposed to do. Well, how do you make sure we get them done and aren't surprised all the time? So, first you gather information. You define your objective. Then you get an estimate of how much time you think it should take. Then you time that and see if your estimate of time is accurate. And then, if you're in good shape, fine. If you underestimated or overestimated, adjust the time accordingly. But they need to see you doing it, and they need to have you explain what you are doing so that they can learn to do it themselves. Okay, but it also has to be written down somewhere. It has to be in something. ADHDers are all the time getting these complicated, complicated organizer kind of things. And sometimes they don't organize quite the way that the ADHD brain does. So you've got to figure it out. You've got to figure out how they organize things. I know they're not fully developed in terms of how their organization style, but just what matters to them, what shows up to them, how do they look at things, what grabs their attention. Sometimes the whole outline kind of format, capital letter A, number 1, small letter A, all that kind of stuff, totally escapes them. And so sometimes you need to use something like colors. Red is for math and green is for science, I don't know. Whatever seems to make some sense. But the ways to pick out different things that may not have to do with the whole linear, logical, alphabetized kind of outline format. So that's one of those things where you have to kind of figure it out yourself. You have to be organized, and you have to know what you're going after. But okay, well, I'm pretty sure that makes your head swim. And these are all things that you will need to know and need to be able to apply pretty much for the rest of your child's life. And good luck. Let's remember, no matter what they do, we love them, we cherish them, they are a gift to us. They have a neurologic condition. They are not being belligerent or trying to get one over on us or that sort of thing. Most of the time, what the acting out behavior is because they're afraid, because they don't think they can do it, and because they're trying to protect themselves. So, I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras. This has been Dr. G's ADHD Chat, the show for making the world safe for ADHD. Because remember, ADHDers tend to be outside-the-box thinkers. And those are the people who make the changes that save the world. So, cherish that. And we will catch you next time.